Okay, welcome everyone to the May 19th meeting of the Law and Public Safety Committee at the City of Sharonville. Those present at this meeting are. We start with our
Mike Wilson,
Mark Pietmeyer,
Vicki Hoppy,
Rob Tankersley,
Jim Lucas,
Scott McKean.
and we also have, yes, Stephanie.
Yes, Stephanie Roberts.
Okay. Do we have to take anything out of order on the agenda, or can we proceed as listed, Jim?
No, we're good to proceed in order.
All right, well, let's begin. Thank you.
First item is Scott's dealing with refinancing the bonds.
Yeah, I'm going to share a screen real quick, show an updated cover memo. All right, everybody see updated cover memo now?
yes.
I made a typo in the earlier one. The principal that's currently outstanding on the 2010 bonds is 25.96 million. So that's what we're refunding. We're going to appropriate, I filled in, this was TBD on the earlier version, 26.5 million. That's going to cover the additional cost of issuance, and there should be some cushion there. I expect that number to be in the low 26 million. So we had put off the appropriation for the refunding, because we always thought we would have some new money as well. And kind of after we had finance committee meeting there, we wanted to get this taken care of. The issuance is sort of pricing in the market right now. We have it out for 2 weeks. So we hope to close within 4 or 5 days after this would become effective. We'll go ahead and do this by emergency just to clear up any ambiguity that it is or isn't effective. Our rating went mixed and went good. We held our rating of a AA. It was put on negative outlook, which was not shocking. Hamilton County, with a similar funding stream on their Duke Center bonds, has been on negative outlook for a while. And also it has the word convention and hotel tax mentioned somewhere in it. So it was sort of inevitable to avoid the negative outlook by S&P. So the rating was decent, and the market's actually kind of come towards us in our favor the last 2 or 3 weeks. So people are buying some stuff up. So that's, knock on wood, is pretty volatile, but it's moving in a good direction, and we should get a rate. We believe we'll get a rate as good, if not even a little bit better than what we talked about rate-wise early December when we met and talked through this before a council meeting. Any questions about this? I think most everybody was on the finance committee call a couple weeks ago to kind of explain our current situation with the project.
No questions from me. I'm good. Thank you.
I'm good.
I'm good also.
All right, thank you.
Mike, are you okay with this?
Yes, I'm good. Am I muted?
No, you're good.
Okay.
So the second item, as you guys know, we're proceeding with the Houck Road project, and ODOT thinks very highly of that project, and so much so that they're doing some safety improvements as well to Houck Road at Kemper, as well as to the traffic signal configuration, all that. I think you guys are aware of all that. This is just consent legislation because ODOT's going to be working in the city of Sharonville. It's our typical consent legislation that ODOT always makes us pass. We can't deviate from their language, but we could put it into our system.
Anyone have any additional questions?
No questions from me. I'm good with that.
I am also.
I'm good.
I should add, I mentioned this at the community services subcommittee meeting, but Mike, this is really for you for next month's OKI meeting. We've asked OKI for an additional $280,000 or so for this project. And it looks promising that they're going to recommend that to the full board, and that you guys will be voting on that in June. So that's promising news for that project and our finances. So just FYI.
Thank you.
The third item is also regarding OKI. It's our proposed project. Applications are due June 5th. Stephanie will share her screen. We've tweaked our recommendation to you slightly from what was in the packet, and I'll have Stephanie explain the difference and why we're going with our revised recommendation.
Okay, so hopefully you could all see my screen now. So basically just an overview of the project. That's 3,500 lineal feet of resurfacing of Kemper Road from Chester Road to basically to Mosteller Road. And what we probably is different, I'm assuming from what was in the packet, is that we are talking about adding this small section of sidewalk here in blue. And the reason for that addition is you can kind of see there's a couple of Metro bus stop locations along the route. So this will help the application along a little bit by adding kind of a connection to transit along the way. So it just kind of gives us a couple little places where we can pick up some extra points for that. So it does not take the sidewalk all the way to the connection at the existing shared use path, which would be nice, but we have a lot of expensive obstacles in the way, but it kind of gets us a little bit closer. So do you want to talk about costs on this as well, Jim? Or
Yeah, if you could pull that up. Our recommendation to the committee, 20% local match is what's required. You don't get any points in their scoring system for 20%. As you increase your local match, you get additional points. We're recommending 30%, which would get us an additional 2 points. You can go as high as 50%, which would get you 10 points, but our recommendation is the 30% match.
so this shows a breakdown of the split with the 30% match of that funding. And we do have a little bit of right-of-way acquisition due to the sidewalk on the north side of the road. Does anybody have any questions on that? There is a little bit of curb replacement in the project as well, but for the most part, the existing curb will stay in place.
The sidewalk does it begin at 42? I'm just trying to see where this is on the map.
Yeah, so 42, the existing shared use path begins all the way down at 42, which is off the page here, and it comes all the way up to this point, just to the east side of Mosteller, and then stops. So there is a gap, and then the existing sidewalk along Kemper right now ends kind of right here at this travel lodge.
Yes.
It doesn't go any farther than that. So we'll pick it up and extend it, a little bit farther, but we won't quite make this connection.
Where does it end there?
Where does it end? It's right.
It started at the travel lodge. Where will the sidewalk end?
It'll end. I'm not sure what this business is. Does anyone know?
It looks like Jurgensen.
Yes, it's the back gate at Jurgensen, I think.
Oh, is it the back? Okay, so this is the railroad tracks right here. So we're not quite making it to the railroad tracks.
No, that'd be before Jurgensen.
Right.
So
Yeah, it'd be before
over by
Jurgensen.
That's over where McSwain Carpet used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It says Target World is what it says on Google.
Yeah,
Gotcha. The sidewalk, how much easement will be there for the sidewalk?
We would need about an extra, judging by what's shown on Cages, which is the only thing I'm going by right now, it looks like right of way is pretty well at the back of curb in that location. So we're going to need an extra, probably, 10 or 15 feet in that area, depending on how wide of a sidewalk we end up doing. But there are poles in that location. So my hope is that we can go below those or behind those poles with the sidewalk, because we really wouldn't want to mess with those poles.
So the pole would be sitting in the middle of the sidewalk.
Yeah, in the lawn area.
Okay, I would just, the shared path is 10 feet wide. And the
Yes.
sidewalk as well would be 10 feet wide. Am I right on that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's a good question, and that's something that we really haven't discussed, whether or not we would make this a sidewalk or we would make this a shared use path.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my thought was just a sidewalk to correspond with what we currently have, but everybody can disagree. Obviously, the
Yeah.
multi-use path would be more expensive and probably have, more implications, but
It is currently, the price that I have given you is currently a sidewalk, just to match the sidewalk that is, it's currently an asphalt sidewalk down by Travel Lodge. We would do a concrete sidewalk. But we were going to go with more of a 5-foot width for a sidewalk, unless, we wanted to discuss. There are, some restrictions. I don't know how easily we can make it under this bridge with a shared use path. But there's a sidewalk there now, so we know that can fit.
Right, I knew that. But that, I wasn't aware that was asphalt. I just, so would the new sidewalk would be a concrete sidewalk that would butt up to where the asphalt ends?
And we would replace this asphalt with new sidewalk on, new concrete sidewalk down through here as well.
Okay. And how far would that go up to Chester Road?
Yes, it goes all the way up to the corner of Chester Road. Yeah, so I don't really have it shown in blue here, but I say reconstruct existing sidewalk. So it's priced to go on both sides of the roads up to Chester.
Okay.
Mike asked all my questions, so I'm good.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
good.
good also.
I'm good as well.
The only question I have is, why would we want to run the sidewalk up to where McSwain Carpet is? Because I've only seen people use the walkway as far as the hotel, but I know you got people that walk, but the next area of sidewalk would be on the south side of Kemper, east of Mosteller.
Yeah, it really is the sole purpose. Well, it provides a little extra connection, but our main purpose was just to provide a connection to these bus stop. And that will give us a little extra points in the application and kind of build a little more of your sidewalk infrastructure that's missing.
yes, Stephanie touches on our sole intent really was to just hopefully get more extra points from OKI. As you know, it's a competitive process, and from a local match perspective, our local match would only go up about $70,000 with this addition. So we thought it was worth that price to get some extra points, hopefully. But if you guys would prefer us not to do it, and that's fine too. But it should impact our score.
Well, one point too to consider is that with the addition of this new tax increase, sales tax for Metro, those bus lines are supposed to extend out here. And I don't know the exact, that was one of the thoughts. And you mentioned the bus stops, and that always is a helpful thought. And you do see the bus stops in front of Menards over in Evendale. It does come out to Evendale and circles through there to get workers to that complex. So this might be, you have Gorilla Glue right there and some other places. So that might be an attractive feature. I like it from that standpoint, because I think that will be the wave of the future. And we might even be able to make that as a selling point, Stephanie, as we present this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's in keeping with the comprehensive plan update as well.
Right. Thank you.
So.
Now, would you be,
Paul, Paul, you're right. The OKI also thinks pretty strongly for bus routes, as Mike has learned in his 4 or 5 meetings.
Yes.
So that's another reason that it should score pretty well. we've applied for this project in the past and have not been awarded it. So we're trying to get as mani points as we can. OKI has always looked at it as the road is not in bad enough shape to score well. So hopefully, since it's been a couple of years, the road's obviously deteriorated. So hopefully they'll look favorably up on it. And to be honest, we're hoping that a lot of other cities don't apply for projects because of financial issues during the coronavirus issue, today's situation. So.
Okay, another question. Are we legally allowed to put a crosswalk across 4 lanes of traffic if that sidewalk's going to be on the north side up, like say, if people ride the bus, wherever the bus stops are, it looks like they're just going to be on the east side. So if you got people riding the bus, say to Gorilla Glue, they would have to have a crosswalk to walk in then, correct or incorrect?
Yeah, no, I do currently show that we would try to put one in here because this is a signalized intersection. So my thought is that we would put one in at this location. I believe, is this Canal?
Yeah.
Okay. So it would be good to put one in a Canal, and that gets you pretty close. So I mean that was kind of my thought on it, was to put one there.
Okay. I'm fine with it. Just those couple questions. That's it.
And the reason we're not going farther is just the expense. It's just too costly. There's too many obstacles to get through, and we could always revisit that for another OKI application in the future as well. So, but with this application, it just seemed like it was too much of a cost.
No, I agree with you, Jim, because most of the foot traffic I've ever seen is going from the hotel right there to Sunoco or the Mexican market and back. So.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
No, I like it. I think it's a good plan. And like Jim said, it does tie in at least well with OKI's plan for bus routes to extend to all of Hamilton County. I'm good.
All right.
Paul,
Hey,
you
Jim.
good?
I'm good, fine.
Okay. So that'll be our application, and that'll be at the next meeting then. The last item is a discussion item. Just wondering if it's worth the city pursuing Adora downtown. It's a designated outdoor refreshment area. There's about 40 or so throughout the state. I've checked with some others. There really haven't been any concerns that people have told me. Steve Vanover, from a police perspective, supports this. Basically, it would allow people to drink as they walk throughout our downtown in designated cups. Looks like from what I can gather, we're only entitled to one as a city because we're less than 35,000 people. We do currently have 4 liquor permit holders downtown, so we think we would be eligible for that as well. From that criteria, as you could tell from the packet, there's a lot that goes into this. So I didn't want to start the process without getting some feedback from you guys, whether you would support it as a law committee and then ultimately as a council, because there is a lot involved with this. It's never been, to my knowledge, it's never been requested by any of the establishments, nor have we really ever looked at this as administration. It's never been recommended to us. But I think personally the time's right. It probably won't be in time for restaurants, to really benefit this year, given COVID, because the process is quite lengthy. But as we look into our future downtown with the comp plan, and I just see some economic development opportunities arriving from this.
You know what the general boundaries of it would be, Jim?
Not yet. I mean, it would have to include, it has to be less than 150 acres, so we're well within that. But I would imagine, since the VFW is one of our liquor permit holders, we would have to include them, and then probably go all the way down to the Cultural Arts Center, I would imagine. But we would have to come up with a map and show that to you, and so if you have ideas, obviously, let us know. Let us know.
So who are our 4 permit holders? You got Al's Bar, the Goose, Already Cafe,
Al's,
VFW.
yeah, VFW, Blue Goose, Al's Bar, and Already.
Yeah, but with the VFW though, Jim, that's a membership. That's not open to the public.
Like I
Still
said,
gotta have
we have a lot to research, and that they're in our research. We may not be able to do this, but we wanted to at least get some idea from you guys if you would support it. The way I read it, I think the VFW would comply with what the standards are. So I could be wrong.
I like it a lot. I'm just mad I didn't think of it.
And I'm sitting here wanting to name it after one of our employees that goes to Al's Bar quite a bit.
Hey Vicky, is her name Dora by any chance?
No, it's a him, and he works for the recreation department part-time.
Oh, John.
I mean, I just think we should name it after him.
The question that comes to mind for me is, since we have designated the Northern Lights District as an entertainment district, would it be more suited for that area than downtown? And I'm not trying to pick sides here, but we may not be ready for that in Northern Lights quite yet, but that is what we were trying to do. Am I wrong?
That we considered Northern Lights District with Kevin and Steve Vanover, and we just thought the downtown was more appropriate for this. But if you want us to look at it for Chester Road instead, we can do that as well. I think some of the downtown folks, from what we gather, are thinking that we're putting so much attention on Chester Road that they would like some love, and
I get it.
That's why I think this would probably be better in the downtown, but you guys could obviously disagree.
No, I understand that part of it. I feel like that we should do something for downtown. There's certainly less traffic, going through there, may make it safer. But how many liquor license holders do we have in that 150 acre? If you looked at 150 acres in Northern Lights District, even if you just looked at Chester Road, how many do we have?
We would have the 4. We'd have Vincenzo's, we have the brewery, we have the Hyatt Place, we have Ramada or the Marriott across the street.
Convention Center.
Mexican
Convention
restaurant.
Center probably would apply as well. So we would have the 4.
And then if you,
But we can't, just remember, we can't have both.
I understand.
The law.
But then that 150 acres, would that also take in that overlay part that is not on Chester Road?
Over there by the old JW's, the old Pizza Hut.
Correct.
Yeah, we could designate, as long as it's, and I think it's 150 acres. I don't have it in front of me, or it's actually in this big packet, but we come up with the map as long as the liquor board agrees with it, which I think they would. We come up with the map.
They may not.
But we haven't looked how far 150 acres is.
But you're also sitting with the school right there at the end.
Right.
So they're not going to want that.
Yeah.
You got to
That's a good
think
point,
about what
Vicky.
the liquor board's going to look at too. And when you tied that high school in with that area, it's not going to, I can't see it passing.
Do you think any of our residents, with downtown being supposedly family friendly, would complain about a Doris area in downtown Sharonville?
That's a good question. That's one of the reasons why I wanted the discussion today, because I wasn't thinking about that, Rob. I mean, it's it's a good question.
I mean, it's family friendly, but the downtown residents I know are the ones who are hitting all the bars like Goose and Owls and BFW anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, you may know different downtown residents than me, but the ones I know are the ones who are, bar hopping as it is. So
I like the idea of the downtown quite a bit, and it's also away from the high schools, which is somewhat of a problem. I don't think we have the downtown, having gone to all the Small Business Alliance meetings, and I think Stu Knight and I usually are there. It would be a nice feature to explore that possibility, and I would support that from that basis. I kind of look at what the way Northern Lights is going to go. I'm not sure if you're having those folks in those hotels, I'm not sure they're going to be meandering around as much as we might be able to get them to meander around in downtown. So I kind of like the downtown, but I do think we should explore that. I would very much support that.
I definitely.
hey, Jim, I know that. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I've seen some things from people that have made comparisons to Loveland where they allow that in their downtown area. And so I think it would be, a good idea for us to do that. It's just a question of where best. There's certainly more people that could use it in the Northern Lights district, but I agree. I don't like the idea of that being around the schools. And it does seem like to be more of a quaint opportunity in the downtown area. I have to admit that as well. But if you're looking at schools too, there's 2 elementary schools 1 block away from downtown.
and then you got the church there in downtown Sharonville too, along with the Fine Arts Center.
You
That's
mean
why
the
I'm
church
saying,
that
yes,
holds
the Fine Arts Center people would love it.
Catholic Fine Arts would be in favor of it.
Yeah, and I was going to say, remember the church is Catholic, and we always have problems with beer and bingo.
I know I'm good friends with Wyoming city manager, and she's mentioned that this has really been very beneficial for their area.
One thing too to consider, Jim, is that in the downtown area, and I like just think of the 4th of July festival that we have, the parade and such, and it's more of a community get together. Whereas if you go over to the Northern Lights, and a lot of those are going to be convention visitors, and they're not going to know anybody. Here we can look at Sharon Fest. If you look at the greatest feature of Sharon Fest are all the people, neighbors, friends down there having a beer and a hot dog and watching the band. And yes,
You have a good point, and maybe there's a compromise between what Rob is saying and what you're saying. There's some cities that allow this just for special events, not year round, but just for special events as determined by you guys. I mean, there are cities that have restricted it. There's other cities that have taken they've used it as a pilot program that we're going to do this for a year and then we're going to re-examine it. So we have options like that.
I
like the pilot program. Try it for a year and see.
I think Paul made a great point, and you definitely sold me with that point. I think that's the difference maker to me, and I have no problem with it being all of the time. And maybe putting some boundaries on it, I guess. But if you just,
and those are discussion points we don't need to decide now. We can decide it once we bring you more information too. So you guys have a chance to think about it. And that's why I wanted the discussion though, because these are all, and there's obviously the large majority of cities have decided not to pursue this as of yet throughout the state. So there's reasons for that too, I'm sure, because I'm sure everybody's aware of it, but maybe some cities have taken a wait and see approach on how others are doing. I don't know.
all right. Rich discussion.
Hey, Jim.
Appreciate everybody's point of view.
Who all has them around here? I got Hamilton, Wyoming, Loveland. Anyone else?
Yeah, the Hamilton does. Wyoming does. I think Middletown was the first city in the state to do it. I think they established theirs shortly after it was allowed in 2016. Obviously, Mike mentioned Loveland. I'm not sure I wasn't, yeah, I was aware of Loveland's.
By the bike track.
Yeah. So those are the ones that come to.
Sorry. Two other questions as far as, is there a limit within the 150 acres to the number of liquor licensed establishments that can participate?
No, you have to have a minimum of 4 is what I understand.
Okay. And is there a cost to the city to establish this area?
I don't think there's a cost through the liquor board, but I could, that'll be part of the research, but I don't think there is.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
We have to review it every 5 years, I think, what I read, but, again, we could do it as a pilot program if you guys.
I think the pilot program is a good idea too. If people are uncomfortable about, approving it outright, I think the year pilot program, see how it goes. That's a good idea too.
Since we need 4 and we only have 4, if we start the program with the 4 and someone has something bad happen and have to close their doors and we go down to 3, does that end the program?
Yeah, that's one of my questions I'm going to have for them, Mike. I've thought of the same thing, especially because of the rumors regarding one of the 4. So, but yeah, that's one of the questions I have as well.
Good question.
Could it extend up to touch Eddie over at La Rosa's?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about Eddie.
Good point.
Does he?
Right.
Does he even?
Great point.
He has
Which
alcohol
place?
there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which
That would
place
make
is it,
perfect-
Vicky?
Huh?
What's the name of the place you're talking about?
La Rosa's.
Oh,
And he
Yeah,
might
that'd be a
have the
perfect
liquor permit.
Position. I think Eddie would be very upset if we didn't include him.
Yeah, he would.
But I was not even thinking about La Rosa's because I didn't know they had alcohol, to be honest. So
Yeah, they do.
Well, I can tell you all the places in Sharonville have alcohol, Jim. We obviously need to do another mayor's pub crawl.
I was going to say, Vicky will let you in where they're all
yeah,
at.
we'll have to look at the specific liquor, what type of liquor license they have, because I know in the packet there was only certain ones that are eligible, but I would assume beer and wine would be eligible.
Yeah, I would think.
I think yours is on premise only though, isn't it?
Again,
Liquor.
that's all stuff that we have to research.
It may encourage others to get licensed in the area too.
Yep.
There's a lot of Amerisops that do growlers, and those restaurants up there in Far Hot Plaza across from La Rosa's would kind of have some reasoning to get liquor license.
Yeah, so we'll put together the best map that we could come up with, and obviously you guys can tweak it and go from there.
Thank you.
Do
Any
any-
further discussion? You okay? Jim, is there anything else we need to go over?
No, not unless you guys have anything.
I have a question. I had a question from one of our residents this past week about the shared path on Kemper Road, that project. And to be honest, I had to go back and look at notes back to April of 2018, where we mentioned 4 projects. 2 of them have been completed. The third project that was mentioned from CT on that was the Houck Road. And then the 4th project was Kemper Road shared path from 42 up to the entrance to Sharon Woods. And in that note, though, it said that it was due to be complete 2021, but it could start as early as July 2020. Where are we on that?
Stephanie, do you want to answer that?
Sure, yeah, I can answer that. So we're currently in final plan stages with ODOT on that one, and they also have started the right-of-way acquisition process. There's about well, most of the properties we need at least a temporary from, probably about half of them we need a permanent right of way from. So they're in the process of talking to the property owners now and trying to get the permanent right of way that we need for that project. It is currently planned. It will be summer of next year. It will not be this year that it will go under construction. I was trying to find the date real quick. That's currently in Ellis, but yeah, it's currently listed as begin construction March of 2021.
Okay, and on there, the shared path would be on the north side of Kemper Road.
Correct, and it crosses over at the park.
Okay, it doesn't really cross. I mean, it's where you would cross to go into Sharon Woods. There's not a path that would cross over to that side.
We are actually going to put in crosswalk, like a crosswalk
okay.
across there. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, I think we both talked to the same person, and I know that there's some concerns with some of the right of way. Once I shared that one of the reasons we're doing this is for safety as well, because of the number of people who walk on that roadway or right off the roadway. I shared with him just not that long ago, I saw somebody with a baby stroller walking
Absolutely.
down Kemper Road.
Yeah.
And once I shared with them that, his advice was to stress the safety aspect of the project, and that may help with the neighbors who do have some questions right now.
I totally agree. And as a matter of fact, in that proposal from CT, they mentioned safety concerns in there as one of the reasons. And so I agree, we should hit that very heavily, not just the connectivity, but the safety of we shouldn't have people strolling down the road, that's for sure.
Well, a couple points. The more concerning problem is many times you'll see a lady pushing a stroller with a child who's walking. That becomes even more frightening because you have children who are mobile along with the stroller. Now the same.
Yeah, we've probably seen the same person, Paul, then, because I've seen the same person with the stroller probably 2 or 3 times.
Apparently, they walk up from the apartment complex, and they now Mr. Hartsock, who's right on the end of the tax person before you do the crossover, he's a very strong supporter. I've been talking with him all the way through this, and he keeps asking me, and I keep telling him next year. But that's a good point. He's a very strong supporter, and he would help very much with the neighbors. The other point, just to make for those of us who've been walking the lake in the absence of our rec center, you really can just zip down onto the path, the walking trail, and come way further up. And there's also it looks like a road or a path that goes back up to Kemper after you go much further along there. And I notice a lot of people come and go on that path. So it's kind of there'll be some bonuses with it. I know it won't be formally incorporated into that path, but it is available for people who, want to walk further. And so it is a nice, and it's very easy to connect to. It's very parallel to Kemper Road. And it looks like the folks go up and down and actually come down to that walking path from Kemper at a position further east. So it's very nice.
We actually are tying into that and doing a little bit of improvement. We're overlaying that section of path in the park from where we cross over to where it connects back up at the bridge.
That'd be good.
Actually, yeah, we're going to overlay that section for them as kind of a working with the park on.
That's a great idea. Very good.
I give you kudos on that one. If the park district agreed with it too, they're tough.
They did, yeah, they did.
They're tough. They're tough. Very tough.
I think one of the complaints was that shared path was going to take a lot of someone's lot, quite a bit of room. But when looking at the notes, it said 10 feet. So are they taking more than 10 feet in places, or?
It's a 5-foot buffer, like lawn space, and then a 10-foot path. So it would be 15 feet off the back of curb.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's 2 or 3 houses that are really close to that roadway. So I'm sure those are the ones that are probably most concerned.
Yeah. most of them have a big front lawn, and it doesn't seem like it's too big of an issue, but yeah, so, and those are, requirements of that, of that shared use path. So that's an ODOT requirement. We have to have that buffer space, and we have to have that width of the path. So, there's really not a whole lot of bending that rule. There's a couple areas where we've had to work around it due to constraints, but for the most part, that's really what they want the design to be.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Any other items to discuss or? All right, if there are none, we would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
So
we adjourn.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for your attendance. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.
Afternoon.